Experience a membership that backs your business journey with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy a welcome offer of 200,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Welcome back to another edition of the Disney Dish Podcast with Jim Hill. It's me, Len Testa, and this is our show for the week of Schmurz Day, October 6th, 2025. On the show today, news in surveys. Would you attend an after-hours event called Paradise Nights? And do you want an annual pass subscription service? In listener questions, what are they putting in the water? Then in our main segment, Jim answers a listener question about the history of Push, the talking trash can. Let's get started by bringing in the man who says the only real holidays are the ones Reese's makes a special candy for. It's Mr. Jim Hill. Jim, how's it going?
It's going well, Len, but this is the time of year. Obviously, we're just a couple of weeks out from Halloween at this point, where, the whole concept of fun-sized candy rears its ugly head, and it's just sort of like, who in their right mind, it's like, you're getting less candy, but it's fun-sized. It's like, come on.
Yeah, would the larger size be even more fun or something not fun?
There we go.
Where on the fun spectrum is that size candy? That's what I need to know.
I don't know. And the weird thing is, junior size bars started back during the Depression, and you get that. Just sort of like kids still want candy, and the candy companies want to continue to sell. But fun size actually starts in the 60s as trick-or-treating in the suburbs really start to take off, and the notion of these poor parents who are like, I get a filled a candy bowl. It's like, well, look, here they're fun size, as in cheaper. So go buy a bag.
Yeah, it's better than taking a butter knife out and cutting up your Clark bar into 6 segments.
There we go.
First of all, it's more sanitary. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm looking forward to seeing how many kids we get in celebration this year.
Yes. I know. I at this point, I think we talked previously off air. You're not going for the record this year. That you've sort of thrown down or given up the gauntlet. Is that the plan? Or
so I did it 2 years ago. Last year we were traveling. 2 years ago, I bought 3,000 full size candy bars. And I think this year the number is going to be 4,000. I'm going to see what happens there. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for Halloween.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. But I told you the story about after the last time we were handing out candy. It was my neighbor and I were sitting around, Daniel, my neighbor and I, sitting around at the end, and my niece came up and said, see that guy across the street? He's handing out one Jolly Rancher to each kid. And I was like, well, clearly we're reporting this man to the HOA. Like that's you're quoting Wakanda Forever. That's not what we do. We don't do that around here, right? That's just not. Yeah, that's not great. So,
but again, given the thousands upon thousands of kids who come to celebration each year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy. I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Right. And speaking of fun, let's do a subscriber acknowledgement. Thanks to everyone who subscribes to the show over at patreon.com/Jim Hill Media, including Jeff Kelly, Alicia McCallan, Scott Wortman, Joshua Ware, JP, J Dark Green, and Maddie James from Levittown, New York. Jim, these are the First Order Stormtroopers ride testing a new Star Wars overlay at Toy Story Mania, where you throw droid plush at Ewoks hiding in the forest. They say the new game is designed for every guest to do well, noting that in playtesting, they've set a Stormtrooper all-time high score of 90 points. True story.
Quick note here. So James,
because they can't hit anything, right?
Yeah,
they get it. Yeah, okay,
there we go.
Okay. On to the news, folks. The Disney Dish News is sponsored by UnlockedMagic.com from our friends at DVCRentalStore.com. If you're heading to Orlando anytime this year, now's the time to visit UnlockedMagic.com, who's got regular Disney theme park tickets and special event tickets with 10% off for things like Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party and Jollywood Nights. Jim, I note that the first 2 dates of Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party have already sold out. So visit unlockmagic.com right now to save big on your admission. All right, on to the news. Jim, over in Walt Disney World, Disney's filed construction paperwork for a new snack stand in Toy Story Land at Hollywood Studios. It's between the restrooms and the walkway to Galaxy's Edge. There's no word yet on the design or the opening date, but this should take some pressure off of Woody's lunchbox for sure, right?
Yeah. Though, again, given that this is the Galaxy's Edge entrance side, and we have alien swirling saucers and the buzz there. So what toy-related sci-fi theme is this snack stand going to have, Len? That's what I want to know.
That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe something from like if they could get Estes Rockets, the model rocket company, as a sponsor, that would be fun.
Oh, cool. All right.
We'll see. I was joking with some people offline, and I was like, well, the Magic Kingdom just redid the Cool Ship in Tomorrowland, and they could put that in Toy Story Land, and it would kind of fit. Like, did they get a 2-for-1 here? Like, maybe we'll see.
No, that would work. Yeah, maybe
it would actually work. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Other Disney news. Disney announced a set of room and package discounts for travel through April 30th of 2026. Most of those deals seem to be in line with similar offers for the same dates in 2025, though it does look like some of the value resort discounts were maybe a little bit better, like 5% or so, but nothing unusual otherwise. Jim, what do you make of that?
Well, I think, again, I want to direct people back to that amazing story you helped out with for the New York Times, talking about how, let's be honest here, Disney World is getting harder and harder for a lot of families to afford, and especially at the lower end, at the value, folks there might need some additional incentive to commit to a vacation. So that 5% or more might be the difference between, okay, we're headed to Orlando.
Yeah, 5% is, will add up to a couple of free meals over the course of a trip. The other interesting thing with values is, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but one way of Disney being able to keep value resorts sellable is at some point when a value resort gets very, very full, Disney will start a process called walking guests to an upgraded resort like a moderate or a deluxe. And so as the values fill up, they take some of that overflow. They'll grab some people and say, oh, would you like an upgrade to Caribbean Beach, or would you like an upgrade to Animal Kingdom Lodge, allowing them to keep selling the value rooms even when they've sold more than they can actually fulfill. So that's a decent strategy for Disney, actually.
I wonder how they actually identify those that they do the walking with. I mean, is it one of those things where they look over the history and it's like, okay, these folks have been to a resort a couple of times, they might appreciate an upgrade, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's targeted. I'm assuming it could be random, but my guess is it probably is targeted. Yeah, to your point. Okay. You give your bonus upgrades to the people who are more likely to come back, right?
That makes sense to me.
Also, Jim, over at Epcot, Disney's testing a new pre-show process for guests using Lightning Lane at Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Have you seen this?
I have not. What is this about?
Okay, so the old process had the merge point for Standby and Lightning Lane before the initial holding room for the first pre-show. So once you were in that holding room, it was a mix of Lightning Lane and Standby guests. And what would happen was guests who'd been there before knew to stand to the right where the doors would open for the next room. But that meant Lightning Lane guests could be stuck in the back of that mini group. Oh. And we talked about this earlier this year, and because I was on a VIP tour, and I didn't go on Guardians, but everyone else did. And I noted that even with a VIP guide, it still took 35 minutes to get through the ride. Which, when you're thinking about that, that's 7% of the entire VIP time that you have for a tour.
Wow!
So the new process keeps the Standby and Lightning Lane guests separate, not only in the initial holding room by sending the Standby guests to the left and the Lightning Lane guests to the right, closest to the doors. It happens in the teleportation room as well, so that Lightning Lane guests who are standing on the right-hand side of the room get access to the ride loading area first. Oh. So there are now two sort of areas, if not lines, in the pre-shows as well.
Interesting. I'm just fascinated. We are, 5 years now into Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind?
Yeah.
And we're still tweaking this. That's fascinating.
Well, I love it though because it was a hot spot for lightning lane usage. Again, 35 minutes to get through a roller coaster ride, even with a couple of pre-shows, is still a considerable investment in time.
I don't know.
If you're using lightning lane, yeah. So this resolves it. The interesting thing is I've heard they're looking at this not only for other attractions, but other theme parks are looking to do something similar as well. So I expect we'll see more of this.
Okay. Keep an eye on this.
Yeah, I mean the industrial engineers are keeping things moving. That's good. All right. Also, our friend Andrew writes in to say that it looks like the ticket booths at the Transportation and Ticket Center are getting rid of their permanent queue stanchions. And Jim, I'm not sure why they would do that unless so few people are using the ticket booths at the TTC that a line never really forms. And so the stanchions just sort of impede guest flow around security.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest here. This construction actually, it dates back to 71, back when, there was only one theme park at Walt Disney World, and you had your resort guests and you had your day guests. And now with the 4 different theme parks and, Disney Springs and that sort of thing, the infrastructure to support so many people arriving between 8 and 10 o'clock in the morning is just unnecessary. Right. So, So what are they doing there?
I don't know yet. That's the interesting part. The other interesting thing is I was talking to some cast members over in that area, and it looks like they're transitioning cast members from the role of vacation planning greeters, the people sort of like stood outside of those lines and told people where to go, to just park greeters. So that also might indicate that fewer people are buying tickets at the gate. And frankly, who's showing up, in the year of our Lord 2025 without a park ticket and without a reservation to the Magic Kingdom? No. That's got to be relatively few people, right?
Absolutely.
So this kind of makes sense.
Okay.
I wonder what they could put there.
Well, again, it is an interesting chunk of real estate, and
it's very valuable. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, just given how close it is to the Poly, and think about the number of times they've wanted to put a resort in this general vicinity. It's just, I would say, Len, watch this space.
Yeah, that's true. If they wanted to redo the TTC, and we've heard rumors of a massive TTC redo for years now.
Oh yeah.
But getting rid of the ticket stands and rerouting the pedestrian flow to start would tell them how much area they have to play with.
Absolutely. Okay, let's watch this.
You can't move the monorail stations, can't move the ferry boat stuff, but anyway.
No,
I guess you could. Yeah, you say that,
Well, in fact, in the feature today, we're going to talk a wee bit toward the end about there are already, you mentioned industrial engineers, the folks that work at the Disney World Resort. They have cold-blooded been crunching the numbers for what happens come 2030 when
when everything opens in the Magic Kingdom. Yeah.
That's it exactly. And what that's going to do to demand on the monorail, what that's going to do for the ferry boats, and there's evidently suddenly a sense of urgency about the fact that we open these two new things with and upwards of 7,500 additional people try to get into the kingdom every day and then try to leave at night. We're going to finally break everything we have over here. And it's like, so, it's time now to get serious about, again, this overhaul of the monorail that should have been done decades ago.
Right. Okay. So all right. That all makes way more sense now. It's funny you mentioned that in 2030, because, basically we're in 2026 right now, right?
Yep.
And, 4 years is not enough time to do that kind of thing. I know that, for example, when Universal was planning for traffic flow around Epic Universe, they started before the pandemic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so that was 6 years. Granted, Disney got more people. They've got experience doing this too. So 4 years might be enough, but 4 years is the minimum, I would think, because you've got to do the construction. You can't impede the people who are going there now. And to your point, not only is it going to be 7,500 more people a day, but the baseline, the floor is going to be higher.
Oh, totally.
Because more people are going to go anyway, plus the additional 7,500.
And the irony is, if you take the 30,000 foot view and you see the flyover that was added to the Magic Kingdom parking lot.
Flyovers are great. Yeah.
And what was done perimeter road wise and that sort of thing. They've done everything around addressing the monorail except the monorail. So it's time.
All right, we'll see.
Okay.
All right, last little bit of news. It's a rumor, really, not news. But Jim, I am more confident now that the replacement for Rip Ride Rocket at Universal Florida will be a drifting Fast and Furious themed coaster. We've heard that for at least a year now, and we've talked about it. Though there was some talk recently about maybe a Ghostbusters theme. I do think we're eventually going to get a Ghostbusters something in Universal Studios Florida, along with a Back to the Future ride replacing Fast and Furious Supercharged. But yeah, Fast and Furious themed drifting coaster.
Okay.
You heard it here first.
All right, there we go.
All right, Jim. On to surveys. Our friend Corinne Story sends in a survey from SeaWorld asking about a potential new after-hours event at Discovery Cove. And it goes like this. Please read the description below for an event that could open at Discovery Cove. Discovery Cove invites guests to an unforgettable evening escape with the debut of Paradise Nights, a brand new Caribbean-themed dinner and entertainment experience that transports you straight to the islands. As the sun begins to set, experience a tropical paradise alive with vibrant colors, lively rhythms, and the warmth of Caribbean hospitality. Guests are welcomed with a refreshing tropical cocktail and an up-close encounter with some of Discovery Cove's animal ambassadors before being seated beneath swaying palms and twinkling string lights. A family-style dinner inspired by the flavors of the Caribbean, where every dish is a celebration of island cuisine. All right, and then they've got entertainment, like steel drums, fire knife performers. I'm not sure what that is. I'm a little scared.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then, various other things, dancing and whatnot. So the evening concludes with a spectacular finale, blending music, fire, and light to create a memory that lingers long after the night is over. All right. So that sounds reasonably interesting. The thing that I like, though, Jim, is, and to tell you sort of how far along SeaWorld is in planning this, they've actually got a menu.
Wow.
In the survey.
Okay.
Yeah. So, when you're doing the place settings, you're pretty far along, I would think.
Yeah.
So some options here for main dishes would be Rasta pasta, jerk chicken or pork, Caribbean barbecue ribs with guava glaze, mojo marinated grilled fish, curried goat or curried vegetables. Actually like curried goat. Seafood paella, Caribbean style, island veggies, and slow cooked oxtail stew with butter beans. And you're invited to check boxes to the ones that you would eat. I think that's pretty interesting, Jim. But SeaWorld doesn't do a whole lot of these events, do they?
No, and I guess the one thing I'm concerned about here is Discovery Cove is sold as a full day experience, and in fact, people pay a premium price. What is it? 1,000, 1,500 people a day to get into that park, and to have paid that to get in, and then for this to be a night when they're offering, Paradise Nights. The whole notion of here's your hat, what's your hurry, get the hell out.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, SeaWorld doesn't do the thing that Disney and Universal do about selling the same park twice in a day, but this could be an option for that.
Yeah.
I wonder if they would have attractions open. I guess it's Discovery Cove, so no, they really couldn't.
No, that's it exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to have to tell the otters to start drinking cappuccino because you're working an extra shift. Get up here. So.
The dolphins are doing a double-double. It's fine.
There we go.
All right. Other survey, Max Mooney and Mark Marcuse sent in a new Universal Studios survey that asks about different annual pass options. And this one goes like this. Imagine that Universal Studios Hollywood introduced a new annual pass product that is valid for 3 years after the date of purchase and is offered at a discount rate compared to the standard 1-year price. If both the standard 1-year annual pass and the discounted 3-year annual pass were available for purchase, which would you most likely buy? And then the second question is this. Now imagine that Universal Studios Hollywood introduced a new way to access the theme parks via a subscription. Subscribers would make an initial payment followed by a low monthly fee that would continue until they chose to cancel, giving them ongoing access to the parks. Admission would be available on a wide range of dates with some blackout periods. Unlike past members, subscribers would not receive benefits like discounts on food and merchandise or free parking. If only the standard 1-year annual pass or the subscription-based product were available, which would you most likely purchase? A subscription service.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Disneyland allows people to pay on a monthly basis for their annual passes, but that is not...
most parks do. Yeah, Orlando does.
Okay,
as well.
But they don't describe that as a subscription service.
No, because it ends at the end of 12 months. And the interesting thing there is, this is where I was going with this. So I'm sure that there are people who who do not immediately renew their annual pass at the exact end of their previous annual pass. So they go 12 months. They might wait a few months until their next trip and then buy another annual pass, right? So the theme parks are not getting that revenue during that gap. But for subscription, you are guaranteed ongoing revenue. There is no gap between the end of one annual pass and the beginning of another. So I think this is a way for the parks to normalize and steady their annual pass revenue stream.
That's clever. Okay.
Yeah. So think about it now. Think about all the people who aren't going to Disney World as an example until the new rides open starting in 2027, right? If they were on a subscription service, some of them would just let it go because, $23 a month or whatever. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of people would cancel, but there are a lot of people who'd be like, you know what? I might just let it go, or they wouldn't even think about it. So it could be a way to sort of even out the subscription revenue from APs.
Okay. Another thing I want to point out here, it's intriguing that they talk about that 3-year annual pass, because I don't know if you've seen the site plan that's been making the rounds for the changes, especially in the upper lot at Universal Hollywood.
No, I haven't. I know you and Jim Schull were talking about it.
Yeah, it's a considerable project, one of size that, in fact, it basically suggests the upper lot is going to be very much like DCA between, 2007 and 2012, a gauntlet of construction fences. So the notion of offering people out in California, a break on price if they commit for 3 years, because, hey, we're coming up on a pretty difficult 3-year period.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I know that when you and I were there and with Schull, as we were going down the escalator that reminds you of the descent into hell because it's that long.
Yes.
We had looked around at all of the different studio backlot buildings that were being either demolished or constructed. So basically, they were playing like checkers.
They were
with the construction, and the end result of moving those studio backlots around was to allow more space for the theme park.
Yeah,
interesting. Okay, yeah.
Okay, and by the way, the descent to hell is officially known as the Starway. So just so you know.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I didn't know. Okay, all right. There we go. The other interesting thing about this survey was you got then 12 screens after that, each of which had 3 different AP options at different price points and with different features. So I'll give you one as an example, and the rest are in the show notes. So pass option number 1 might be 12 months with no blackout dates, free self-parking, express pass after 3 o'clock, with food and merch discounts, plus a complimentary VIP tour ticket for like $1,100.
Okay.
Another one would be 9 months instead of 12, about 100 days of blackouts, free weekend parking, all-day express pass on unlimited rides with discounts for $149. So would you trade a shorter pass and more blackout days for all-day unlimited rides and a $900 discount on an AP? That is tempting.
That is.
Yeah, that's tempting.
Okay.
And then option 3 would be 25% off self-parking, a 12-month AP, about 40 days of blackouts for $360. And so there were 12 screens like that. And we've seen these kinds of surveys before where, whoever's sending out the survey is trying to discern which pass options at which price point are best for you without actually saying it. So you ask the same kinds of questions, 10 or 12 different ways, and that teases out the results. It's actually a good survey design.
No. But again, this is fascinating. I just can't wait to see what 2026 and 27 brings for Universal Hollywood admissions media-wise.
Yeah, if something comes out of that, I would love to see it. And then finally, David Townsend sent in a new Disney Spring survey. Jim, the most unusual survey we've seen in a long time. It goes like this. On your most recent visit to Paddlefish, did you arrive on foot or by swimming? And if by swimming, have you made any large purchases recently? The next question was, during your meal at Paddlefish, please select all of the following you said or overheard during your meal. A, fix your face. B, bless your heart. C, as God is my witness, I'll never go hungry again. D, that waiter is hotter than Georgia asphalt in July. All right. Well, all right. You got to be on top of current events here, Jim. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. So, wow, that is a very specific survey. I'm casting a very small net. I'm just saying. Okay.
They could have used the small net, I'm just saying, too.
Also true.
On to listener questions. Here's one from Hannah Betts, who says, I'm getting ready for a girls' weekend trip to Walt Disney World in March, and we decided to check out the spa options at Walt Disney World. I was really surprised to find that our only options were the Grand Flow and the Dolphin. Disney World's website shows that Saratoga Springs facility is currently unavailable, but that's about it. Do you have any information or history on the spas at Walt Disney World? I assume if there were others, they might have been COVID casualties, but the internet hasn't been forthcoming with much explanation. So the two spas are the Mandara Spa at the Dolphin and the Grand Flow Sensa Spa. They're both above average for Orlando. I've been to lots of spas in Orlando. But I would say this, if you're looking for spa, the one that isn't mentioned is the Four Seasons Spa, and that is the best one in the area. So if the Four Seasons is in your budget, 100% go there. The service and facilities are better there. The Grand Flow would be my second choice. Jim, the Saratoga Spring Spa was also called Senses, but that never really came back after COVID, did it?
No, it did not. To be honest, part of that was just on the back of, it was evidently barely making it when the pandemic, basically, the world stopped in March of 2020, and Disney used it as an excuse to, okay, we're closed.
And they could do it all at the Grand Floridian. Here's the weird thing, though. This is what I get. So I understand that they closed Saratoga Springs, which, to be fair, is on the far end of Disney property. But they've tried or are trying these small ad hoc type spa experiences at places like the Wilderness Lodge over by the pool. So why would they close Saratoga Springs and then try these little one-off things at the deluxe resorts?
Well, it's been explained to me. I mean, the ad hoc thing is literally they are carrying everything in for the day, and the notion is that the customer that wants this sort of very public, they are coming to me to give me the spa experience. You can charge a much higher price point for that. That people are literally paying to look special. So,
got it. Okay, all right. So that's all right. That's sort of like like Millennium Premier Pass, one of those very, very high end, cater to a small group of people. Oh, fascinating. Cool. That's good.
Okay.
All right. Next question is from Adam Benjamin, who says, does Disney do any New Year's Eve events at the resorts or just at the parks? We're visiting December 31st to January 3rd with my son's marching band, who's doing the parade at Universal on January 3rd. Adam also said that he's staying at Disney's All-Star Sports Resort. And Sports will likely do a countdown event around the pool for New Year's Eve. They did something similar in 2024, and I put the schedule for 2024's event in the show notes, but it started with a kids countdown to the New Year's at 8 p.m., running until 9 for the little ones. Then there was an around the world block party from 9 to 11:45, and then the countdown starting at 11:45. So yeah, they will do that. I know that if you're over at the Magic Kingdom, those resorts will probably use the beaches. There will probably also be tight security and wristband access for those things. So yeah, if you're not staying at those resorts, I wouldn't try it. But yeah, every resort should do something.
Okay. Duly noted.
All right, and then last question from Bruce Sherman, who says, I've been traveling to Disney World for decades, and a Brita water filter bottle has been my traveling companion. The taste of park fountain water was unbearable without it. I recently stayed in a refurbished one-bedroom at Bay Lake Tower. I was surprised how well the filtered water tasted. Then I tried water from the sink, and while not as cold as from the pitcher, it tasted good. So what gives? Have they installed water filters to remove the bad taste at the resort? Or are they treating it somehow? I know when I went to visit the new tower at the Poly, near water fountains was a water filter as well. So yeah, I think the newer resorts definitely have water filter treatment built in. And I wouldn't be surprised to see all of the resorts get some sort of upgraded filtration technology as they undergo refurbishments. And that's good because, Jim, you've tasted the water in Central Florida. You know that it's been right. And I remember distinctly, because this is why I liked Bruce's question. At one point, I was doing an all-day, 16-hour day in the Magic Kingdom. And it was summer, and I was hot, and I could smell. And I went over to the fountain over behind Cinderella Castle. And the water was warm because it sits in essentially a metal water fountain. Yeah. Right? And you got to let it run for a while. But even then, it was just hot. It was the middle of summer, right? There was no cooling it off. And I remember drinking that warm Central Florida water and getting a coating on my mouth. fish scales.
Okay. The weird thing is, I know exactly what and all I can think of is like, a juvenile alligator.
Exactly. Yeah. Welcome to Florida. Taste the Everglades.
There we go. Yeah.
So actually, I did some research on this. The water from around Walt Disney World comes from the underground Florida aquifer, and that and the aquifer itself, which is limestone, does the vast majority of water purification. The Orange County water filtration system uses small amounts of chlorine and other chemicals to disinfect the water before serving it, but that's fairly common. I actually put a link into Orange County's water quality report, which shows that the level of sodium in the groundwater to the west, north, and south of the resort is relatively high in sodium, about 160 parts per million, which is kind of the upper limit for what Florida allows. So that might be part of the taste.
And certainly makes sense, given that the state is largely a peninsula. It used to be under the ocean. So, okay.
So that might be it. But yeah, I mean, bring a water filter. I know even at home in Celebration, I'm using water filters for everything too. So the water's kind of gross.
Cool.
Cool. Good question though. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Jim gives us the history of Push, the talking trash can. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by 20th Century Studios' new film, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, starring Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White and Academy Award nominee Jeremy Strong. Scott Cooper, the director of the Academy Award-winning movie Crazy Heart, brings you the story of the most pivotal chapter in the life of an icon, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Only in theaters October 24th. Get your tickets now. This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Your boss is going off at you for missing a deadline and you swear the clock just moved backwards. Suddenly, you remember the pack of Tic Tacs on your desk. Now you're riding horseback on the beach, the smell of citrus in the air. And what's this? Your boss is sitting behind you, breathing heavenly fresh mint? Refresh your mouth and mind and share your good vibes with Tic Tac.
The all-new 2026 Hyundai Palisade Hybrid doesn't just turn heads. It commands respect. With its stunning exterior, luxurious interior with available captain seats, and spacious third-row seating and equipped with advanced technology, you and the family are making a statement before you even step out. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more and experience the all-new 2026 Palisade Hybrid today.
And we're back. All right, Jim, a topic we've never discussed before. I love it.
Well, we have Mark Pierce to thank for this. Mark recently wrote in to say that some of my family's best memories of Walt Disney World aren't rides or restaurants, but rather characters in the streets of the park. My son still talks about many years ago when Push, the robot garbage can, evidently named for his lid, started following him around in Tomorrowland. And Push sat down next to a real garbage can, and my son had to ask if that one could talk as well. And Push said, well, no, he only talks trash. And there we go.
Right.
So
okay.
Mark wanted to ask, about the creation and the history of Push. And here's the thing, folks. Push has been out of the parks for over a decade now. In fact, he made his last appearance in the Magic Kingdom February 9th, 2014. But he arrived at Walt Disney World, made his debut in the parks February of 95. So that 19-year run.
That's pretty good for a character, yeah.
There we go. And now there are some people who, anecdotally, look at Push leaving and think, oh, well, he must have been put out by Disney's own Living Character Initiative program. And because Disney had its own autonomous, figures, Lucky the Dinosaur, Muppet Mobile Labs.
Right, yeah.
So this meant that the company wouldn't have to pay a third party to licensed tech, that Disney didn't invent. But that's another thing that a lot of people don't know about Push, that they see this trash can rolling around Tomorrowland and think, oh, those Imagineers, they're so clever. And it's like, but WDI had absolutely nothing to do with Push.
Right. It's a third-party company, and you can find similar things around the world, right?
That you can. And more to the point, Push actually outlasted much of Disney's Living Character Initiative program. I mean, Lucky the Dinosaur came into the parks August of 2003, and he was largely done by summer of 2005.
I thought you were going to say he came in August of 2003 and left in August of 2003, because I remember seeing it once.
Yeah. Well, Schul tells the stories about, for example, remember how Lucky used to pull a wagon, and so much of the mechanism that powered Lucky was hidden in that wagon. Evidently, Disney learned the hard way that, that there would be an operator at the other end interacting with Lucky, and he'd turn around and there were children climbing into the wagon, stepping off.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And it's like, the dinosaur's going to stop working. Get out of there, kids. Anyway, Muppet Mobile Labs, on the other hand, that debuted at Disney's Corporate Christmas Party, December 2006. And again, largely finished its run in the park 2008. And even the living version of Remy. Remember when you'd go to Chefs de France?
Yeah, that was super brief. That had the shelf life of a croissant. Yeah, okay, yeah.
I love that. Yeah, summer of 2009, gone. But Push outlasted all of those posers because he was simple and he was sturdy. More to the point, because Push's inventor, one Daniel Dush, he spent years working on similar, very sturdy remote-controlled figures. To be specific, the astromechs from Star Wars, like R2-D2.
Really?
Yep. And Len, this story is going to sound very familiar to anybody who grew up in the late 1960s, early 1970s. David, like so many of them, saw Chapter 4 of the Star Wars saga, opens in theaters May of 77, changed his life. In this case, it's 14-year-old Daniel who goes home after, leaves the theater, goes home and says, I want one of those, and R2-D2. So he goes out to the family garage and eventually builds one.
Solve your own problems, Daniel. Exactly.
There we go. Now, mind you, it's a little crude. It works. So Daniel thinks, I can do better.
This is 77, so I mean, he's got.
Yeah.
I mean, microcontrollers are almost non-existent at this point. You've got what, the Intel 4004. I mean, you've got nothing in terms of processing power.
And nothing at all. All right. So he's like, I can do better. So I'll build another one, and then I'll build another one, and then I'll build another one. And he gets to the point where he's built sort of the best fan-built R2-D2, and he's taking it around the country to Star Wars events and to sci-fi conventions, and this is what leads to George eventually moving to Florida, and he gets hired by the entertainment department at Disney World. In fact, the interesting thing, Len, he gets hired March of '87, and that's not a coincidence, because Star Tours had opened at Disneyland 2 months early, January 9th, 1987, and that same simulator-based attraction would soon be opening at Tokyo Disneyland and Disney MGM. So the parks were actually going to need somebody.
Okay, imagine a computer for looking to match job applicants to job postings. And it comes across, the Disney posting for, do you know how to operate an R2-D2? And they see Daniel's resume. I can imagine that computer overheating and throwing out sparks saying, exact match.
All right.
My God. Wow. All right. You've been training for this job for your entire life. Go ahead.
But here's the thing. R2-D2, as seen in the Star Wars movies, is heavy and awkward. And in the parks, there was this fear that, if an astromech is allowed to roam free and some kid in the park makes a run at R2, well, what if it falls over and lands on the kid? And because of the weight of this, this unit, it actually hurts the child. And so, and by the way, this is the exact reason that the Living Creature Initiative version of WALL-E, which, by the way, first came out in theaters June of 2008, why the robotic version of WALL-E didn't last in the parks all that long either. I mean, it was introduced, the late summer of 2008 and went into storage at WDI spring of the following year, 2009. Len, that thing weighed 750 pounds. And
really?
Oh, it was a brute. And in fact, the fear was that if WALL-E's treads were to actually roll over somebody's foot, they'd lose a toe.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this is the weight in the falling over thing is the reason why we don't have larger droids in Galaxy's Edge. Because remember when we were doing the show prior to the opening of Galaxy's Edge, we noted that Disney had filed a slew of patents for autonomous robots in the parks. But we never really saw them. But the things we're seeing now in the parks, they're definitely, they're definitely droids. But you notice how they're all like knee height and below?
Yeah. And, more to the point, they've got two very little legs. So if they step on you, it's like
they're not going to harm anyone. They're not going to fall over and hurt anybody. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Though, to circle back on WALL-E for just a sec, he did get pulled out of storage just this year. In fact, for Earth Day, April 22nd, 2025, WALL-E actually surprised people at the Pixar Place Hotel at the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim. He was out and about in the lobby, mind you, with a handler with a cattle prod. It's like, wave to the robot, get nowhere near him.
Exactly.
All right. So anyway, this kind of frustrated Daniel, that Disney's lawyers were effectively preventing his R2-D2 units from making too many appearances in the park.
Sure.
And also want to stress here that this is also 25 years before Disney acquires Lucasfilm in October of 2012. So they also had to abide by the terms and conditions of the company's license agreement with Lucasfilm, which severely limited how the Star Wars characters could be used in the Disney parks. But anyway, Daniel saw, from the few times it got out and about that, what happened when R2-D2 was loose in the park. And he wished that this could go from being a once in a while thing to something that could happen every day at a Disney park. So back to the garage, Mr. Dush goes. And he's now thinking, I have to create a simple to operate, lightweight character that can seemingly wander free in the parks. Now, mind you, it sort of also has to kind of look like an astromech from Star Wars. But at the same time, Daniel's thinking, well, I want this to be able to appear in any Disney theme park. So it has to fit in anywhere. It has to be commonplace. It has to be so that guests at the studios or Epcot or Magic Kingdom, I mean, at this point, we're still a few years out from when Animal Kingdom opens in April of '98. But so this is when Daniel dreams up a walking, talking trash can called Push.
It's actually a great idea.
It's an absolutely great idea. But at the same time, Daniel recognizes he's a Disney employee. He works for entertainment. And so, he's not going to be in a great position to negotiate with the company when it comes to, hey, I invented this. You need to license this from me. So he actually makes the decision to leave Disney in May of '93. Wow. Sets up his own company, which is called Real Simple Ideas, LLC. And then it enters into a negotiation with the Walt Disney Company to bring Push into the park. And Daniel was right. As soon as Disney sees Push in action, they're like, we want that. We want that for the park. License agreement quickly hammered out. And by February of '95, Push is rolling through Tomorrowland chatting with tourists. Now, how does Push work? And folks, I apologize, but now that Len and I work with magician mind reader Chris Cox on our new podcast, The Case For with Chris Cox, Mr. Cox has made me swear that I can't spoil tricks by revealing how illusions are actually pulled off. I will say that everything you need to know is in the name of Daniel's company, Real Simple Ideas, that this character is deceptively easy to operate. That when Push is out and about interacting with guests, everything you need to know about, why this character seems magical is hidden in plain sight. It's all being done out in the open. And if you know when to look, where to look, and more importantly, who you're looking for, it's all out there right in the open.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But here's the thing, that when Push first came into the parks in February of 95, it wasn't just the guests that were dazzled. Even cast members would stop and stare. In fact, Len, we need to find this for the show notes, but it's this great photo that was taken in the Magic Kingdom spring of 1995, and it's Push surrounded by this knot of walk-around characters from the park. There's Alice, the Mad Hatter, Tweedledum and Tweedledee, along with Captain Hook from Peter Pan, and they're just standing there dumbfounded, like how, for the life of them, I mean, these are Disney employees, they can't figure out, how is this working? How is this trash can talking to people?
I have the photo and it's in the show notes.
Very cool. Very cool.
When you sent me your notes, I went out, I was like, I gotta see if there's a photo of this. It's in there. Yeah, it's funny because the characters are actually crying at the guests.
Yeah.
Like, no, let me get closer to it.
No, I mean, that's the thing. That tells you everything you need to know about how revolutionary Push was back in the day. And anyway, the other Disney parks, as soon as they hear about how guests at the Magic Kingdom are reacting to Push, they immediately reach out to Daniel and say, hey, we want this character at our park as well, which means additional licensing deals for Real Simple Ideas. And just a quick side question here. How many of you remember Push's cousin Pippa? She was the walking, talking recycling bin over at Rafiki's Planet Watch. Did you ever encounter her, Len?
Oh, it's vaguely familiar, but no, I don't think I did.
Okay. But anyway, there were at least two of these in Florida for a while, and it was great while it lasted. And when we get back from this break, we're going to talk about why exactly Push got pushed out of the Disney parks in Florida, February of 2014. But first, this.
Did my card go through?
Oh no.
Your small business depends on its internet, so switch to Verizon Business. And you could get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second, unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
Through the Starbucks College Achievement Plan, full and part-time Starbucks baristas receive 100% upfront college tuition coverage so they can focus on achieving their dreams, not how they'll pay for school. And those dreams might start with a degree in management, biochemistry, or any of the more than 150 offered. At Starbucks, benefits like college tuition coverage are just the start. Learn more at starbucks.com/partners.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
And we're back. Okay, so again, we're just talking about February 2014. And again, this is when Push gets pushed out of the Florida parks. And why did this happen, Len? I blame Harry Potter.
Sure.
All right, to be specific, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the first of these lands, based on the best-selling books and then the top-grossing films, opened at Islands of Adventure June of 2010. But Disney knew the Wizarding World was coming long before that. Hell, Universal had announced that they'd be adding a Harry Potter-themed land to their Florida resort back in May of 2007. This is why, September of 2009, some 9 months before Hogsmeade Village first opens at IOA, that Disney announces it's going to be adding some magic to the Magic Kingdom. be specific, company's going to be expanding Fantasyland, the most popular land in Disney's most popular theme park in Florida. They're going to be doubling the size of this part of the Magic Kingdom. It'll go from 10 acres to 21. And by the way, it's worth noting here that this was when Disney got incredibly competitive with Universal. This was not an easy time for the company. So take, for example, the original Wizarding World, the one that got built at IOA, opened June of 2010. That was 20 acres in size, which is why it was very important for Disney that New Fantasyland be 21 acres. It's like,
sure.
It's like, really? Okay, boys, you're both pretty. Okay,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Also worth noting that Universal Creative spent $265 million to turn Merlin Wood and that area of Lost Continent into a full-size, a version of the area seen from the Harry Potter film. So Disney, of course, they spent $265. We're spending $400 million on New Fantasyland.
Yeah.
But
love it.
But here's the thing: Phase 1 of New Fantasyland opens December of 2012. Not the game changer that the company was hoping for. I mean, in particular,
right, this was everything except for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say there were also chunks of what is it? The Storybook Circus that weren't ready to come on. Yeah. I mean, Schul talks about the fact that with the New Fantasyland project, there were 17 different handovers to the park. I mean, there were that many different openings. But anyway, for example, the park, you remember how the park hyped when Phase 1 opened about LeFou's Brew. Oh, you got to go to Gaston's Tavern.
This is it's like an apple butterscotch drink, like butter. It's their butterbeer, right? But it's not butterbeer.
No, it's not. It's not. In fact, compared to what was happening over at Islands, where people were standing in an hour-long line, didn't even begin to do that. And then, then when you factor in that construction of New Fantasyland is already underway when in January of 2011, as you mentioned, we suddenly went from a super deluxe meet and greet complex where on one side you were meeting Cinderella, on the other side you were meeting Sleeping Beauty. Now suddenly that Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Right. That, when you do that, when you change horses in midstream, things get pricey. And as the cost of building New Fantasyland began to mount, word quietly began to circulate in 2013, out ahead of the May 2014 of Phase 2. It's like economies have to be made. And all right, so here's what happened. New fiscal year for the Walt Disney Company. In fact, we, as we're recording it, the fiscal year for 2024-2025 just started this week, right?
25-26, yeah. So we're in the 2026 fiscal year right now. Yeah.
There we go. All right. So that typically starts late September or October, folks, and the exact date depends on that year's calendar. And in this case, it was the entertainment division at Walt Disney World that took the brunt of these costs. And that was on the heels of the fact that the Festival of Fantasy, a brand new parade that basically was going to hype New Fantasyland, was going to start rolling through the park in March of 2014. And given that the number of performers that were going to be needed to march in the street, coupled with the behind-the-scenes staffers that were going to be needed to maintain, all of the costumes of the parade, the floats. Again, word came down to entertainment that they needed to reduce headcount in the coming fiscal year. So let's talk about who we lost. I mean, how many of you remember Miyuki, the candy artist
Candy artist, yeah.
Yeah, she had been at Epcot at the Japanese Pavilion since 1996. She was let go in November of 2013. Then, January 1st, 2014, the Main Street Saxophone 4. This is that quartet of musicians who had been entertaining guests, visitors to Walt Disney World since the resort had first opened, October of 71. They're let go. So, and a happy new year to you.
Yeah.
And then The Ziti sisters. You remember the Ziti sisters? Camilla, Pauline, Teresa, Rosa Liam, and Katya?
In the Italy pavilion, This is, the year 2014, 2015, those 2 years were just devastating to live entertainment in the parks. Yeah.
They were. And it was the same deal with Push at the Magic Kingdom and Pippa over at Animal Kingdom. And again, Daniel was told nothing personal, just business. But the company is not renewing its license with real simple idea to have these walking, talking trash cans and recycle bins interact with guests. And here's the thing, Len. Word gets out ahead of Pippa and Push's last day in the Florida parks. And now, meanwhile, the folks back in Burbank, get up one morning, fire up Twitter, and it's like, what's trending? Save Push. And it's like,
Theme park trash cans, yeah. Oh, Lord. Okay.
But here's the thing. Daniel saw what was happening on social media and was genuinely touched that visitors to the Disney parks, those folks who he'd interacted with his character for all these years were now trying to save Push and Pippa. So he posts this message. It's like, to my friends and friends of Push the talking trash can. Push has had a wonderful, nearly 19-year run at a magical place. I will cherish the memories and the millions of people that Push has delighted over the years. When I first designed and built Push, I worked hard to develop his character traits and his personality to make him endearing and conversational, and the millions of hugs he has gotten have been wonderful validation. And Push isn't gone forever. You will see him again, possibly in a new venue. I'll make an announcement as soon as it's confirmed, and Push looks forward to seeing his friends again, and I sincerely appreciate the outpouring of love and support. And again, what's interesting, Len, is Push did continue on at a Disney theme park, no less, just not a stateside one. And in fact, you head over to YouTube right now, you can watch videos of a French version of Push interacting with guests at Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris. And it continued at the Disneyland Paris Resort for a number of years. Because remember, on the heels of Push's successful debut at the Magic Kingdom in Florida, February of 95, other Disney parks then signed licensing deals with Real Simple Ideas for the same characters, same tech, and those deals would expire in their own time and in their own ways.
Sure.
Now, Phase 2, New Fantasyland, opens May of 2014. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is a smash hit. Len will tell you today. It drives how people use that park. Other aspects of this expanded land at the Magic Kingdom, not as big a success. And given that Festival of Fantasy wound up being far more expensive to maintain and stage as a daily parade at that theme park, continued calls for entertainment to make more cuts to the Florida parks, which Len just referred to this. It was 2013 to 2014 fiscal year was brutal for entertainment. And in fact, as that year is ending, first we lose Off Kilter at the Canadian Pavilion.
People are still bitter about that, Jim.
They are.
You're opening old wounds. It's been over 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, and then we lose Moroccan also.
Moroccan, yeah.
And the one that people continue to bitch about, so to speak, at the UK Pavilion, we lost the World Showcase players.
Their Shakespeare in a Minute stuff was hysterical, yeah.
And that was there from when Epcot opened in October of '82, and we also lost the Spirit of America Fife and Drum Corps outside of American Adventure.
That's right, yeah. And so that was, 2014?
Yeah, but here's the thing that kind of makes me crazy, Len. In this exact same window of time, fiscal year 2013, 2014, this is when the Frozen phenomena is happening.
Oh, they're rolling in money. Yeah, none of it makes sense.
That's it. From November of 2013 to when the film first arrived in theaters, still, I want to say February, March, that movie took in worldwide $1.2 billion in ticket sales, and double that amount in Frozen merch. Just what they were making on Elsa dresses, could have kept all of this entertainment going at the parks.
Yeah. I mean, so at the end of 2014, so I know in 2015, we also lost Mulch, Sweat, and Shears at the studios. So, it continued on for a while. So what was driving this?
Well, part of the problem was that Shanghai Disneyland, Shanghai Disneyland was originally supposed to open in December of 2015, wound up opening June of the following year, 2016. Also, Shanghai Disneyland originally supposed to cost just $3.6 billion. By the time it finally opened, that park, Disney would admit to $5.5 billion, but a number of folks who worked on the project said it's $6. It was $6 billion.
There's some invoices in a roll-up desk somewhere in Disneyland.
There we go. All right. So anyway, this is why in 2014 it's not just the parks that take a hit. Disney Interactive lays off 700 employees. Likewise, more than a quarter of the total staff that was working at Disney Toon Studios, these are the people who made the home premieres for the company, they got pink slips. 2014, it is the year Walt Disney Company changed, and not necessarily for the better. It got leaner and meaner. And just one final note for today's story, and kind of a cautionary tale. Out ahead of the real work about to begin on the Magic Kingdom's latest expansion project, again, Piston Peak and Villains Land. On the heels of Phase 2 of New Fantasyland opening, again, May of 2014, that theme park now, in theory anyway, could accommodate 5,000 more people a day. And that's what happens when you take Fantasyland and change it from 10 acres to 21. And so to accommodate those extra 5,000 people a day, the Magic Kingdom had to change. And remember, Len, this is when we lost a lot of the grass and the trees in the hub area to create that new fireworks viewing area.
Yeah, the little garden area with the metal railings. Yeah,
there we go. Likewise, late fall, early winter of 2014. This is also when we got the permanent version of the Main Street bypass, that walkway. Yeah. Eastern side of the Magic Kingdom between Main Street and Tomorrowland. Because we lost a lot of those trees, added more additional, concrete and pavement. We lose shade.
It's hotter. It's
hotter, less pleasant to go through. And as we were mentioning earlier on in today's show, the industrial engineers looking at, what they're potentially going to, the capacity of the Magic Kingdom with Piston Peak and Villains Land, conservatively 5,000, more likely 7,500 additional people in that park every day. And the ripple effect that's going to have on transportation, food service, again, it's just the industrial engineers are staring down the barrel of this, and it's like, okay, we need to make...
Where do they stand during parades? Where do they stand during fireworks? Where do you feed them? How many more bathrooms do you need? The logistics are incredible for it.
Yeah. So, and again, everybody's been focusing on those two new lands coming in. But as you mentioned at the top of the show and what's going on at the TTT Center, there's other things happening in plain sight, folks, that are going to have a huge impact on this theme park. And which, just to bring this full circle, makes me miss Push, because it was such a simple little personal show. And as Mark Pierce pointed out in the email he sent that started today's feature, I mean, think about it. He's been gone since February 2014, and people are still talking about this trash can that rolled around Tomorrowland, and it's just amazing.
The other thing I remember about Push was, because he would interact with guests, you could almost look at that as a precursor to things like Turtle Talk with Crush.
Oh, totally.
Where you get to, so there's somebody remotely operating something that interacts with guests directly, or, Monsters Laugh Lore. Things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting that those are the only living creature initiative program that still survived. Turtle Talk with Crush and Monsters. Now, mind you, I want to say at the Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai, I think they still have their Stitch version of that show. But
it's good stuff all the way around. The interaction with guests, really good technology. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And again, thanks for Daniel for pioneering it, and I just wish it was still in the parks.
Yeah, me too. Great idea, though. All right, cool. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the show today. You can help support our show by subscribing over at patreon.com/JimHillMedia, where we're posting exclusive shows every week. Our latest show is The Rise and Fall of Disneyland's Viewliner, and there's a link to it in the show notes. And there's also a link to Jim Scholl's Disney Journey channel on YouTube.
Okay.
On next week's show, since I'm just back from Dublin, Jim gives us the history of Disney Springs Raglan Road Restaurant. You can find more of Jim at jimhillmedia.com and more of me, Len at touringplans.com. We're produced spectacularly by Eric Kersey and David Gray. He'll be throwing hush puppies and cornbread from the Cookout Barbecue Float at the 2025 North Carolina A&T The Greatest Homecoming on Earth Parade, starting at 8 a.m. this coming Saturday, October 11th, at the corner of Lindsay and Morrow Streets. Just park at Dudley and walk in beautiful downtown Greensboro, North Carolina. Hashtag Aggie Pride. While Eric and David are doing that, please go into iTunes and rate our show and tell us what you'd like to hear next. For Jim, this is Len. We'll see you on the next show.